between probably 70,000 and 100,000 units. So we don't even know. I know it's definitely over 70,000 at this point. And, and I've only been teaching a little over 4 years. I'm super proud of that actually. But,
congrats.
Thank you. But the first thing you'll learn at my boot camp is we spend an hour and a half on goals. I call it goal setting on steroids. Because again, how the heck do you get anything if you don't know what it is? You got to know what you want with clarity, and you have to know why you want it. It's critical. And so,
welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. And as always, I have an amazing guest with me today, and I'm excited to add some value to anyone who's listening. And before I introduce him to you, though, I just want to give a big shout out to all of you who have been leaving comments, reviews, and likes on all the major podcasting platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, and to those who have been watching on YouTube as well. Thank you very much. And I want to ask you for a favor. I want to ask you that if you get some value out of this interview, if you get some type of insight, some knowledge, some wisdom, some information, a skill, a mindset shift, or something that helps you move forward towards your goals, I want to ask you to please share this episode with 10 friends. Share it on social media. Share the link on your Facebook, on stories. Share with 10 people. Since this is how we grow, this is how we share our message and motivate, inspire, and bless other men out there, other entrepreneurs to change their lives and to grow. So today I have Rod Khleif. He's a multiple business owner and philanthropist who's passionate about business, high performance, real estate, and giving back. That's why, that's one of the reasons he's here. And as one of the country's top real estate and peak performance luminaries, he's also owned over 2,000 properties. Rod Khleif soared from humble beginnings as a young, impoverished Dutch immigrant to incredible success, which we're going to talk about right now. And Rod's experience involves both remarkable triumphs and spectacular failure, which he affectionately calls seminars. All right, so I'm excited to talk about that as well. And Rod will explain the mindset requirement to recover from losing $50 million in a crash to the success he enjoys right now. And I'm excited to have you, Rod. Thank you very much for being here, man. And you are welcome.
Oh, thanks, brother. Listen, I appreciate you telling me your story as well. And the fact that you were able to read my bio with that much articulation and not speaking English 3 years ago is fascinating to me and very impressive to me. And, I'm an immigrant as well. I mean, I remember immigrating this country when I was 6 years old. I was born in the Netherlands, wooden shoes and windmills. And, we immigrated when I was 6 with my brother Albert, my mother's Vansha, and ended up in Denver, Colorado, and really struggled initially. I mean, I remember, eating expired food because that's all we could afford. And we drank powdered milk because it was cheaper than regular milk, and with our cereal in the morning. And trust me, it's not as good as it sounds. I remember eating, wearing clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school till I finally got disgusted and lied about my age when I was 14 at Burger King, got a job flipping burgers so I could buy my own clothes and then ultimately buy a car. And I'm sure you've got listeners that had it harder than I did, but I knew I wanted more, just like you do. And, my mom had an incredible work ethic, luckily. And so she babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat. And she was a bit of an entrepreneur with her babysitting money. She actually invested in the stock market successfully in IPOs. And she also invested in real estate. And her first real estate acquisition was the house right across the street from us when I was 14. She told me she paid about $30,000. When I was 17, she told me it had gone up $20,000 in her sleep, that she'd made 20,000. I'm like, what? You made 20 grand and you didn't do anything? Screw college. I'm getting into real estate, Mom. So I got my real estate license right when I turned 18. Well, my first year in real estate, I made about $8 grand. My second year, maybe 10 grand. Now this is 1978 and 79. Okay. But my third year, I made over $100,000. So what happened between year 2 and year 3 that caused me to 10x my income? Well, what happened was I met a guy that taught me about the importance of mindset and psychology, how really 80 to 90% of your success in anything is your mindset and your psychology. Only 10 to 20% is the mechanical information that, the real estate or entrepreneurship or whatever the vehicle is. It's really the do, and it's the keep doing. And, and fast forward to today, I've owned a couple thousand houses that I've rented long-term. I own thousands of apartment units now. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. And you might say, wow. And I said, wow. And I thought I was a freaking real estate god. Okay. If you do the math on that, it's $8,300 an hour for the year. And of course I did. And anybody that holds still long enough, heard about it. And I head so big, I could barely fit it through a door. And when that happens, God or the universe will give you a nice little smack. Well, that was 2008. I lost everything. I lost conservatively $50 million in 2008. And so what I'm known for talking about on my podcast and, at my live events and things like that is the mindset it took to have 50 million to lose in the first place. But then as importantly, or maybe even more importantly, the mindset it took to recover from losing that to the success that I'm blessed to have today. So happy to drill down on that with you, Alex, if you'd like.
Yeah, that would be incredible, man. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you, right? First of all, I agree that, 80 to 90% of success, it involves the unseen, right? Like, mastering your mindset, mastering your emotions, and then the spiritual, right? Like I don't know, there's something that, like, how come people, go through like the same courses or have the same knowledge, but then like they have drastically different results, right? That's what I'm interested
I'll
in knowing.
speak to that. I'll speak to that if you'll allow me. Sure. Because I get asked the question, how did you recover from losing $50 million? And it's the same answer for, if you ask me, how did I make 50 million? It's, I had to reassociate with what I wanted and why I wanted it. Okay. In Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, he calls it a burning desire. For you to get anything, you've got to have a burning desire and to take action, to push through fear. Maybe you've got limiting beliefs, or maybe you're comfortable and the comfort zone's a warm place. And we both know nothing freaking grows there, right? So that burning desire is what you need. And so, if you come to one of my boot camps, actually have one coming up in July, the end of July in Denver. I teach people how to buy apartment buildings. That's what I do, and my students own somewhere between probably 70,000 and 100,000 units. So we don't even know. I know it's definitely over 70,000 at this point. And, and I've only been teaching a little over 4 years. I'm super proud of that actually. But, thank you. But the first thing you'll learn at my boot camp is we spend an hour and a half on goals. I call it goal setting on steroids. Because again, how the heck do you get anything if you don't know what it is? You got to know what you want with clarity, and you have to know why you want it. It's critical. And so, but by the way, let me mention this. I actually did this goal setting workshop on New Year's Day this year. I do it every year around the 1st, but I did it on New Year's Day this year. And if you go to rodslists.com, rods plural, lists plural.com, at the bottom of that is this goal setting workshop with music. There's a guide you can download. It's very, very powerful. But if you'd like, I could describe it, Alex, because it's very powerful, and I could probably describe it in about 5 or 10 minutes if you want me to.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Okay. All right. So here's what you do is you've got to figure out, again, you got to know what you want, because you've got to be able to push through that fear. And everybody's got that fear. When you ask the question, why do some people succeed and others don't? It's because they don't tap into that burning desire. So they push through the fear to actually take action with what they learn. Okay. Which is why my students are so successful, because I spend so much time on it. I'm known for it. Anyway, pick an hour when you have a lot of energy. You don't want to do it after a heavy meal. You want to make sure you're well hydrated, make sure you've had water to drink, and sit down and write down everything you'd ever possibly want in life. All the stuff, the houses, the cars, the boats, the jet skis, the planes. Take the lid off your brain. Imagine if you write it down, you're going to get it, which isn't outside the realm of reality, because what that does is it triggers something in your brain called your reticular activating system. And that's that subconscious filter. You're not aware of it consciously, but that's the filter that, I guess, let me give you the greatest example of it. Let's say you buy a car. You never really noticed them before. You buy the car and you see them everywhere. Were they there before? Of course they were. That's your
Yeah.
reticular activating system. And again, it's not conscious, but it's the same thing with your goals. But it's critical that you write them down and you associate with them. And so, write down everything you could want. And again, don't limit yourself. If you want a private island, a yacht, a jet, write it down. That starts the process. Okay. There's nothing you can't do, be, or have. Also write down how much cash flow you want from your business or from your investments, say in 3 years, and then again in 10 years. Write down how much money you want in the bank in 3 years and in 10 years. So be clear on this. Then also write down everything you want to do in this lifetime, all the things you want to do, maybe the places you want to go. Maybe you want to write a book, bucket list stuff. Maybe, I've got a friend climbing every mountain over 14,000 feet. Me, I jumped out of a perfectly good airplane about 3 years ago. I'll never freaking do it again, but that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Write that stuff down. Okay. Then write down everything you want to learn in this lifetime. Okay. If you want to learn a foreign language, you want to learn a skill set, write that down. If you want to learn multifamily real estate, I got to tell you, probably the greatest opportunity in our lifetime is coming right now, because we're heading into what I think is going to be a big recession, and there's going to be a big wealth transfer. And so if you want to learn that, come to my boot camp. It's July 29th, 30th, and 31st in Denver. And I'll tell you how you can come for $197. It's not a sales pitch. It is just flat out drinking through a fire hose for 3 days. So I'll just tell you right now. So while I'm on the roll here, if you text my name Rod to 72345, if you're driving, just text my name Rod to 72345. But remember this code, Rod Friend. Okay. And then you can come for $197, or you can go to rodindenver.com. It includes a couple of incredible bonuses that are worth 10 times the 197. But the point is, it's coming. Okay. So if you have any interest in real estate, don't wait, because, once it really hits, it's going to be too late, because you've got to build relationships and know how to evaluate deals and so on and so forth. So don't wait. If you're interested, come see me in Denver. I promise you'll be glad you did. Now, so write down everything you want to learn in this lifetime. Lastly, write down who you want to help. Okay. We'll do more for others than we'll ever do for ourselves. And again, this is the fuel. This is what's going to get your butt out of bed early. This is what's going to get you to push, work Saturday, stay up late, grind for a few years like most people can't. So you live the rest of your life grind for a few years like most people won't. So you live the rest of your life like most people can't. Okay. And this is the fuel that'll do that. So write down who you're going to help. I bought my parents a house, for example, on a canal here in Florida, took them on cruises, bought them a car. Who are you going to do things for? Write that down. All right. Once you can't think of another thing, there's a couple more steps. I want you to put a time limit on each goal. How many years it's going to take you to achieve it. Put a 1, a 3, even a 5, 10, or 20 on those goals. Okay. Understanding that as human beings, we will overestimate what we can do in a year and massively underestimate what we can do in 5, 10, 20 years. I'll give you an example of this. Now, I want to preframe this by telling you I'm not bragging. Just want to inspire you to what's possible, okay? So when I lived in Denver, when I was 18, I knew I wanted to live on the beach, and there's no beach in Denver. It's right in the middle of the country. But I would visualize the palm trees and the sand and the surf and the waves. And 20 years later, I built this $8 million, 10,000 square foot mansion on the beach. I had the beach on one side. I had my boats on the backside, boat lifts. It was a Gulf to Bay, sliced through an island. And that was unthinkable when I was 18, but I dreamt about it and visualized it and made it happen. So again, don't limit yourself. And so once you've got a time limit on each goal, pick your number one goal. I mean, that goal, when you get it, you're like, oh my God, you've arrived. That goal, put it on a separate sheet of paper. And again, if you go to rodslinks.com, you can download the guide and it'll tell you, you can fill in the blanks on that. But, and by the way, that goal setting workshop is something super powerful to do with your spouse or with your kid, so I'd encourage you to do it. It's real professionally done if you go to rodslinks.com. But and I'm not going to try to sell you anything. It's just a gift at the bottom. But anyway, take your number one goal, put it on a separate sheet of paper, and then take your top 3 1-year goals, put them on that same sheet of paper, and leave some room in between them. Okay. So you got 4 goals, number one goal, top 3 1-year goals. At this point, you are ahead of 99% of the people on the planet that spend more time planning a freaking birthday party than they do designing their lives. This is designing your life. Okay. And, or these, that 99% that'll do a New Year's resolution that's forgotten by freaking February 15th. Right. But there's a couple more quick steps. I need you to write down under each one of those goals why it is an absolute freaking must for you to achieve it, okay? And use emotionally charged words like amazing, incredible, powerful, beautiful. And you might say, so I can show my kids what incredible success looks like. So I can show my wife what it means to live a life of amazing abundance. So we can have the freedom to do whatever we want, whenever we want, wherever we want, bring whoever we want, whatever's going to juice you, write that down, okay? Now, once you've got some positive reasons why you have to achieve those goals underneath each one, I want you to put some pain in there if you don't achieve them, okay? And make it freaking hurt. So I don't feel like a failure. So I don't fail my kids. So I don't live a life of regret. Here's why, Alex. There's an example of this, actually. There was this nurse in Australia, a hospice nurse. So she was taking care of patients when they were about to die. Her name was Bronnie Ware. And she asked him a question. And the question was, do you have any regrets? She wrote a book about it. It's called The 5 Regrets of Dying. You know what the number one regret was? Not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not doing what I know I'm capable of. I can't think of anything worse than that. So, if you're afraid of failing, fear that regret, okay? Fear being in the same freaking place you are right now, a year from now, unless you absolutely love where you are right now, okay? So once you've got that done, there's one last step, and that is get pictures or make declarations of your goals. And I'll give you some examples of this. Start with Jim Carrey, the actor, the comedian. When he was flat broke, he wrote himself a check for $10 million. And he used to go up by the Hollywood sign, and he would look at it, pull it out of his wallet and visualize cashing it. That's how much money he made for Dumb and Dumber. I'll give you a more recent example. The singer Demi Lovato, when she was unknown 12 years ago, posted on social media, one day I'm going to sing the national anthem at the Super Bowl. One day. Not this last Super Bowl, the one before. See who sang the national anthem. I'll give you some personal examples for me. And again, not bragging. I just want to inspire you, okay? These things don't even interest me anymore, but replace them with what interests you if you're listening. Now, back when I was 18, I figured I had to get a 4-door car to show people houses, right? So I got this bone ugly Ford Granada, bench seat in the front, just a piece of crap. But I figured that's what I had to have. Well, that guy I was telling you about that taught me about mindset, I was dating his daughter, and he had a couple of Corvettes, and he let me drive one. And I was like, oh my God, to take her out, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And so I got a picture out of a magazine, this before the internet, picture out of a magazine. I put it on the visor of that bone ugly Granada, picture of a Corvette that is, put it on the visor. So every time I sat in it, I had to look at it. It was right in front of my face. Within a year, I had a Corvette, beautiful Corvette. Couple more examples. This is when the TV show Magnum PI was out. The actor's name was Tom Selleck. He was the detective in Hawaii. This is before you were born, Alex. But anyway, it was a good show. But what was cool about it is he drove this exotic Ferrari, a Ferrari 308. It's the first time I'd seen an exotic. I'm like, holy shit, that's incredible. So I had a picture of that actual car out of a magazine, put that on the visor of my Corvette. Within a year or two, I had a Maserati, looked just like it. Last example. I'm the guy that always wanted a Lamborghini. Okay, I had posters in my bedroom growing up. My son, when he was 9 years old, had models of about 40 exotic cars, the Porsches, the McLarens, the Ferraris. And he had a model of the exact same Lamborghini black, same color, style, everything that I ultimately wrecked. But anyway, so get pictures. In fact, I know you're going to put this on YouTube. Let me show you something. This is my planner. Okay. I use a paper planner. Yeah, I'm a dinosaur. In the back of this thing, I've got pictures that have been in here for 22 years. Now, the first pictures are my gratitude pictures. My children are 30 and 26. These are pictures of my kids when they were young. Why? Because everything you bring into your life, you do it through gratitude. Okay. Call it prayer, whatever you want to call it. But this is how you manifest it. It starts with gratitude. Okay. Then I've got pictures of the things that I wanted. That top picture just looks just like the house I built on the beach. I had 10-foot high glass, 80 feet long, travertine floors like that. Now,
Sorry for the interruption. If you're an aspiring, established coach, course creator, author, and speaker, I want to extend an invitation to check out my free training on the podcast Cloak Track Framework by clicking on the link in the description of this podcast. On this training, you're going to learn how combining podcasting with a rare concept that very few people know about called the Cloak Track can help you build a multi-million-dollar network of successful people who can become your clients, put you in front of hundreds of your ideal clients with your message, coaching, courses, and books, help you become a best-selling author, get you booked to speak on stages, or even making an extra $237,600 in the next 6 months. Click on the link of the description of this podcast to learn about the 4 simple steps to make this work. Step number 1 is alignment. Aligning who you're trying to be, what you're trying to do, your goals and purpose with building your podcast so that podcasting is a vehicle that helps you achieve your goals. Step number 2 is leveraging the cloak track to find an unlimited supply of your ideal podcast guest. Step number 3 is leveraging the cloak track to close an interview with anyone, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem. And step number 4 is the content machine, which is the key to tapping into other people's audiences. These are the 4 steps to making the podcast cloak track framework work, and I'm not going to hold anything back on this training. So click on the link in the description of this podcast, go and check it out. And once you've done that, if you feel like this would help, we also have a complimentary, free, absolutely free alignment call to get you started and show you exactly how to implement everything. Get access to the training right now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
Lost that house and all the craziness. I live in a compound. I've got 6 buildings, big main house, a beautiful 2-bedroom guest house on the water. I've got a media building with a exercise facility that's off the hook. I've got a theater room, a video studio that I've built to go virtual. And what's crazy is look at those bottom pictures. You see those white stone walls in those pictures, Alex? See those white stone walls? Look behind me. That's my backyard now. Again, this is the exact same wall that's in these freaking pictures I noticed. And then I've got, stupid crap that I thought was important. Like I've got a few $100,000 worth of watches, that's still a vice. I'll be honest. I still love those, but the Lamborghini, of course I got a black one, but there's the picture of a Lamborghini. It's all nasty and tattered. The Rolls Royce, the Bentley, all this stuff that I got because I had pictures. So go out there, get pictures, put them around you, put them on the wall, put them on your screensaver. I'm sure some of you analytical ones are like going, okay, this is a little too foofy. Well, big mistake. Because this is how you get this stuff. You can call it prayer, you can call it manifestation, but this works. So that's the first step. You've got to create that burning desire, like I said, to push through maybe any limiting beliefs that you have. Like, when I immigrated, like you, I didn't speak English, and I got thrown into school, found out what bullies were for the first time, got my ass kicked regularly. I hadn't learned how to fight back yet. And, then my mom, proud Dutch woman that she is, thought it'd be a great idea to send me to school in wooden shoes and those leather shorts the Germans wear for Oktoberfest, lederhosen. Got my ass kicked again. Then the bullies would chase me home, and she thought she was helping me by chasing them off with a fly swatter. Next day, ass kicking. So, I came up with this belief system that I wasn't good enough. I used to ask myself, how can I show them I'm good enough? And that permeated my life. But the thing to remember is if you're listening and you've got one of these negative belief systems, like I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money. There's a reason the acronym for belief systems is BS. Because 99.9% of them are just that BS. But here's what you got to do. If you've got one of those, you've got to drag it out into the daylight. You need to look at it with your adult rational mind and recognize that it's BS. I had to do that. I had to look at it. People, am I good enough? Hell, anybody that rejects me just doesn't know who I am at my heart. I'm a gift from God. If they reject me, it's their own BS, okay? And I had to come to terms with that. So if you've got one of these, here's the operative word. Consciously look at it. Okay, look at it and recognize that it's BS so that you move past it. Okay, and ultimately it'll take some time. It's not going to happen the first time you do it, but if every time it pops up, you look at it consciously, it will ultimately dissipate and go away. I mean, I used to be afraid of getting called on in class, terrified that I'd get embarrassed or humiliated. Now I speak in front of thousands of people a year. No big deal, and that's how you do it. So the next piece, once you've created that burning desires, you got to make a decision. And that decision could be the biggest decision of your life. But when I say decision, I mean, the Latin root for the word decision means to cut off. If you're going to attack the island, you're burning your ships because you're taking their damn ships home. That's a freaking decision. It's not a toe in the water. It's not a 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It is freaking done. Okay. And you're committed. And once you're committed, you're like a train on a track. Now, if you're not committed, you're going to get knocked off track. Okay. So then once you make that decision, you got to take the first step. Okay. And, a lot of people are analytical and they'll get caught up in paralysis by analysis, and you can't allow that to happen. I see it, in my business because, a lot of people in my business, actually, some of the more successful ones are the most analytical ones, and, or they combine with somebody that's analytical. But you got to take that first step. Like Dr. Martin Luther King said, you take that first step in faith, the next step will be revealed. Lao Tzu, thousands of years ago, said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. What you've got to realize is that you can drive all the way across the country at night, your car only seeing 50 feet in front of you, and you know you'll make it because other people have made it. Now, you may encounter some obstacles, but you know you can do it. It's the same way with your goals. Okay, but you've got to take that first step. I see it in real estate with my students. It's the law of the first deal is another example of this is, that first deal, it's the hardest. It's the most stressful. It takes the longest. And then when somebody gets one, next thing I know, they have 4. I'm like, what the hell just happened? Okay, because they realize that it's doable. Okay, so the next piece I want to mention is focus. Now, if you're listening or watching Alex, you're a leader. And right now, more than ever, the world needs leaders. I mean, let's not get me started on the freaking fake news and the crap that the news outlets are putting out there. It's just realize this, that the news is not there to inform us. It's there to startle us and scare us and scare the shit out of us. And most of it's crap and BS anyway. But listen, as a leader, you've got to stand guard at the door to your mind, okay? You've got to recognize that whatever you focus on is going to get larger, positive or negative. Okay. So you got to bring in the good stuff, like on my podcast, it's called Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. I hope you'll check it out, even if you're not interested in real estate, because every week I do a clip called Own Your Power. And it's just about that. It's 5 minutes. It's with music, and I will freaking juice you. If you give me 5 minutes a week, I will help you get pumped for the week. And there's hundreds of them there. But whether you listen to me or not, go on YouTube, bring in the good stuff, the motivational stuff, but stand guard at the door to your mind and keep the bad stuff out. Yeah, you got to read the headlines to see what's going on. I got my Wall Street Journal here. Inflation hits 4-decade high. Okay, yeah, that's crappy news. But with that, I get excited because I know opportunity is coming. But I'm not going to get sucked into the murder and the death and all that crap. That's what I'm talking about here. So your focus is critical. Now, I'm going to tell you the most successful people on the planet have the highest degree of focus, okay? When you have incredible focus, you're going to have incredible success. But again, whatever you focus on gets larger. They asked Mother Teresa when she was alive if she was anti-war. She said, no, I'm pro-peace. It's kind of the same thing, but you get what I'm saying here. I'll get people that call me and say, I'm trying to get out of student loan debt. I'm like, wrong statement. You need to focus on making so much money that the debt's irrelevant, right? Because again, what you focus on gets larger. Now back to focus for a minute. I don't know about you, Alex, but sometimes I'll be watching a movie at night and I'll be scrolling through freaking social media. Okay. Big mistake. Okay. Because what that does is it kills your focus. You're making these micro decisions every split second as you're scrolling. I get excited because my podcast got 13 million downloads. We just broke that. But there's 2 podcasts I listen to. One is Joe Rogan and the other one is Tim Ferriss. And they're both sides of the political aisle. I try to stay balanced, although Joe's even going over the other side now. But what I noticed on Tim Ferriss's podcast is he deconstructs the best of the best in the world at what they do. The best athletes, Michael Phelps, the swimmer, the best actors like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Foxx, Ed Norton, Hugh Jackman, the billionaires like Ray Dalio, CEOs of the biggest companies in the world. And he deconstructs how they achieve that success. And I started to hear a pattern. Almost all of them meditate. What does meditation enhance? Focus, right? So focus is critical. Just a couple more things, Alex, if you'll humor me. I've got a couple more areas I'd like to talk about. We good on time?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the next thing is play into your strengths. Okay. Anybody that tells you to build your weaknesses is telling you a mistake, because your strengths are what you love. And especially like in my business, the multifamily real estate business, I tell people, you play to your strengths and you hire, align, or partner for your weaknesses. And when you do, success is inevitable. Why? Because your strengths are your greatest assets. Okay. So when you're playing in your strengths, you're loving what you're doing. You're not working another day in your life. And the more important thing is you're passionate about it. When you are passionate, you have the ability to influence. Like Alex, you loving what you're doing. I can feel your passion. Hopefully you can feel my passion in this description of what I'm talking about. See, and when you love what you do, you have that passion. And, in any business, you have to be able to influence, whether it's raising money for the business and my multifamily real estate business. Of course, you're raising money from investors. But when you operate from passion, that's the fuel, and you're able to innovate, and you're able to, it breeds your creativity and minimizes or eliminates fear. So that's a critical piece. All right. The last one I want to talk about is your peer group. You know, when I was losing everything in 2008 and 9, I was in a mastermind. It was Tony Robbins' Platinum Partnership. And back then it was like 120 grand all in, and it's probably 3 times that now. But I was around people that were thriving through the crash that I went through. I mean, they were killing it. And they're like, okay, you puss, 50 million, schmillion, get your ass up and back to it. Okay. That's the kind of people you want to be around, right? The people that are not going to be afraid of your success. And here's the problem. A lot of people will default to their peer group of people they went to school with or work with. And sometimes those people are afraid of your success, or they've got their own limiting beliefs, or they're afraid of losing you if you become successful, or they're afraid of being jealous of you, or, you know, feeling less than if you become successful. And sometimes it's family. And I will tell you, love your family, but choose your peers proactively. That's the most important decision you can make, because you show me your 2 best friends, I'll show you who you are, professionally and personally, your health, your happiness, and your finances. So you want to be around people that lift you up and push you and validate you and make you go out there and kick ass. And so if, you know, whatever business you're in, if it's real estate, you know, get around people that are doing that. Whatever it is, get around people that want what you want, and will, again, hold you accountable, will validate you, will push you. That's who you want to be around. So, you know, I guess the last thing I'll mention is, you know, I talked about goal setting, and I told you about that house I built on the beach. Okay. Mm-hmm. And there's a message in this. So it took me 20 years to build that place. Okay. To get it. Okay. 2 months after I moved in. So 20 years, 2 months, 2 months after I moved in, I'm floating in the pool at night. And I'm looking up at this testament to my ego. It was to prove the world I was good enough. Remember, I used to ask myself, how can I show them I'm good enough? And that was it. And I mean, this place was magnificent. Just to give you an idea, there was a giant waterfall from the 2nd floor balcony into the pool. You had to walk through the waterfall to get to the pool. I paid tens of thousands of dollars for trees that were bent out over the pool. Pools and magazines. And you know, it had a giant spiral staircase up through the middle of the house, elevator, wine cellar, you know, to give you an idea, I'll land the plane with this. On the 2nd floor, I had aquariums built around the staircase that cost me almost 200 grand. So this gives you an idea of the house. Yeah. So I'm looking up at this thing and I got depressed. And I don't mean just a little bit. I mean, I was really bummed. I'm like, what the hell? I've just achieved success like times 10,000. I've got the 2 Mercedes in the garage, Maserati. I've got the boats, the toys, beautiful family in the house. I got an incredible house. And I was depressed. And here's what I want to share with you. There were several things going on. One of them is you should never achieve a big goal. This ties into the goal setting conversation. You never achieve a big goal without having other goals lined up behind it. Like you need a vision for the future. Like the good book says, without a vision, the people perish. You got a vision for the future. I didn't know what I was going to do next. The other thing is happiness doesn't come from the goals. It comes from progress and growth. And I didn't know what I was going to do to progress or grow next. But here's the big one. I had been totally focused on me. Show the world I'm good enough. Show the world I matter. Rod this, Rod that. And that's the year I met Tony Robbins, because I went out and bought some books, and, you know, Dale Carnegie, Zig Ziglar, and I got a Tony Robbins book. And I'm like, man, I like this. So I went and saw him live. And I found out that he feeds families for the holidays. And by the way, Alex, you should see Tony live. If you ever have a chance, just do it. Trust me. Those of you listening as well, he's just extraordinary. I spent 20 years following him around the planet because his technology is that good. But I found out that he fed families for the holidays. I'm like, what a concept. Do something for someone else. I'm embarrassed to say I had to be 40 to get that memo. Well, I went back home and I called my brother, because I was going to go visit him and my family in Denver for Thanksgiving. I said, let's feed 5 families. So he called his church and I said, you know, find out who really needs help. And he found 5 families who really need help. And so we went out, we bought toys for their kids. We bought food. We bought frozen turkeys, roasting pans, everything. The 3rd family changed my life. We go up to this crappy 1-bedroom. Wasn't even a 1-bedroom. This woman lived in with 5 kids. And she comes out and she sees the food and the toys and everything. She starts crying. Her kids come out. 2 of the older ones start crying. I start crying, and I'm hooked. And I'm blessed to say, in the last 22 years, we fed 110,000 kids here in Sarasota and Bradenton, Florida. Now, again, I'm not bragging. There's a message here. And don't leave yet, because this is probably the most important thing I'm going to say this entire episode. We have been taught But the other thing we've done is I've done tens of thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies. Local kids don't even have school supplies. I've done tens of thousands of teddy bears, local police departments for their officers to keep in vehicles. If they encounter a child that's been traumatized, they can comfort the child. But here's the message. We've been taught to achieve to be happy. Like we can't be happy until we've achieved. This is a real common feeling out there. If you give back in any fashion, you are happily achieving. Tony Robbins calls it the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment, okay, which I know is a trigger word for you, Alex, okay? Science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. Achievement's a science. You want to learn multifamily real estate? For God's sakes, come to my boot camp in Denver. I promise you'll be glad you did. In fact, if you come and you don't love it after the 3 days are up, I'll give you your money back. I don't mean like it. I mean freaking love it. Okay. So, but fulfillment is an art, because you have to find out what juices you and bring that into your life. And I know you probably got a lot of young listeners. And if you're listening to saying, yeah, I'll do it when I have money. No. Do it right now, because the money will come faster. Now, you don't do it for that reason, but that's the way God or the universe works. Whatever you give, you get back 100-fold. So find it something. Again, fulfillment is an art. For me, it's kids. Kids get juice me, but maybe for you, it's the environment or animals or the elderly, whatever it is. Give back right now. And don't say, I'll do it when I have money. Do it right now, even if it's just your time, because again, the money will come faster. You don't do it for that reason, but that's how God or the universe works. So anyway, I'll land the plane with that, brother.
Awesome. Well, yeah, man. Yeah, thanks. And I was like, I got the feeling to jump on the meeting from my iPad, because you still use paper. I don't. I have like an iPad and iPen, right? But like here on my iPad, I have something that I call the mental pathway programming, which I go through every single day. Which and here my core values, pictures of what I want. My goals.
Perfect.
Like I've literally done every single step that you said.
Fantastic, brother.
I go through this every single day, and I've designed my life. I have another thing that you probably never seen, because I've never seen it. And like each little square tells a little bit about my story, right, from the past all the way to this.
So you're capturing your story in little squares there.
Yeah, and now I'm designing the next couple of years, and everything is happening, man. Like it's crazy
how it works. You just have to decide. I mean, that's just how it works. And that's how the universe brings it. That's how God, whatever you believe, that's how you bring it into reality. Good for you, brother. Very impressed.
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like every single one of those squares is becoming a reality, and I did them. I'm achieving goals that I thought were going to take me 10 years to achieve in one. Like speaking in front of in front of an audience on stage. I'm about to do this this Friday, man. I just got invited to speak on at an event, so it's pretty cool.
Nice. Very nice.
And my business and everything. So yeah, every single one of those steps that you just described, I've been through, and it happens to be that. Well, I think that the progress and the growth that I've had in the last 3 years is pretty cool, right? Pretty amazing. Yeah. So
no question.
So it works. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. And man, I have 5 questions that I want to ask you.
Fire away.
The first one is, if you could go back in time to give your 20-year-old self some advice, what would you say?
That's the question I ask on my show a lot with people that are multi-gazillionaires that have thousands and thousands of units, because I know the answer. The answer is always go bigger, faster with their real estate, because they started with single family or a duplex, and they always say go bigger, faster. Me personally, I would start teaching much earlier, because I love it. I mean, if you look on the wall behind me, there's some of the hundreds. You can't even see them all behind my green screen. I literally have probably 1,000 thank you cards from people whose lives have been impacted by my work. So I would start teaching sooner.
Awesome. Go bigger sooner.
Yeah,
man, that's what I'm starting to do. So look, I had a goal to take my business to 7 figures, but I know exactly how I'm going to get there, man.
Yeah.
Like I know exactly how I'm going to get there. And if you set a goal that you know exactly how you're going to achieve and what you need to do to get there, then it's too small. So, I wanted to get to 7 figures by the end of the year, but instead of doing that, I'm going to get to 8 figures by the end of the year. And I don't know how I'm going to do. Right, the 7 figures, that's pretty easy, I guess. 100K per month, that's pretty doable. But 800K per month, holy shit, that's a little bit. So now I'm going for that, because that the other one was too small. Another thing, I have a huge network of entrepreneurs who've said yes to go speak at my event, and I wanted to throw like seminars and speak in front of thousands of people and stuff like that. And I said that I was going to be throwing my first event next year in Q1, but I'm gonna do it this year. Like there's no reason why I should wait. Like the only reason why I'm waiting is fear. And yeah, that's it.
Nice.
So I'm going bigger, faster. Awesome, man. Thank you.
Nice.
The next question is mindset. What is a mindset shift that you've had that you can share that you think is contributing to your success?
Oh, the big focus on gratitude. That's the most powerful emotion we have in our lives. Strengthens our immune system, makes our heartbeat stronger. It's impossible to be grateful and fearful at the same time. It's impossible to be grateful and stressed, which is the achiever's word for fear at the same time. Possible to be grateful and angry at the same time. Gratitude, there's nothing more important than gratitude. Every time you look at your baby girl, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm feeling it right now, man. Thanks. Mindset map. What you talked about this, but do you have any other advice for people who may lack or need clarity?
Well, figure out what it is you want to do, the burning desire. Figure out what it is you want first. Then you determine your vehicle to achieve that. And then you go study it. Okay. Don't dabble. You've got to learn it. You've got to build competence first. Competence equates to confidence, which will then equate to your ability to influence people. But that's it. So again, if it's multifamily, for God's sakes, text Rod to 72345 and come to my boot camp. Remember the code Rod Friend is one word to get that 197 price. But again, it's not a sales pitch for 3 full days, but build your competence first in whatever vehicle you're going to use.
Rod Friend, you said?
Rod Friend is the code, is one word. Yep.
Got
it. Or go to rodindenver.com. That's the website. But if you're driving, just remember to text Rod to 72345, but just remember the code Rod Friend to get that deal, because the price could be 700 by the time you see it, but it'll be 197 if you use that code.
Cool. Awesome, man. Thanks. Mindset map motion. So what is one habit that you have, Rod, that you think is contributing to your success?
Oh God, I have so many. I try to focus on the most important things. I use the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, when I'm looking at my tasks for the day, and I discover the 20% that'll get me 80% further. And it's typically the stuff you don't want to do. And that's the stuff I do first.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Mindset map, motion, measure. What do you think about measuring and tracking, Rod?
I'm a huge proponent. They're called key performance indicators, KPIs. You've got to measure what you're doing, the things that matter, the things that'll move the needle. And so we're always, looking at our KPIs and our assets that we own, the properties that we own. And in my thought leadership business, how is our marketing doing? How are our conversions? I feel like we fail anybody that doesn't, get involved in our program. And so we're looking at how we can improve that. So we're always measuring.
Awesome. And what does everyone want? Money, right? So get those 4 right.
Well, actually, what they want is happiness and love. But
they think they want money.
Money is the way they get to it. They feel that's the way to get to it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But so if you want that, right? If you want success, happiness, and fulfillment, there's 4 things that you got to get right. And that's mindset, map, motion, measure, money, right? So you get the money. So, hey, Rod, I really liked, I really love and I really appreciate the process that you took, the audience and anyone who's going to listen through. I've been through that exact same process multiple times. All I can say is that it works, right? Like, yeah, that's all I can say. It works. Nice. So like, if you listen to it, like this is the end of the conversation, it's the end of this podcast. And you're like, oh yeah, all of that sounded really awesome, but you're not taking action, right? Like, then it's not going to really matter. Like, go back, sit down, and as Rod is taking you through those steps, actually do it, right? Like, pause the video, do step number 1, then keep on going, pause the video, do step number 2, and then keep on going, because it really works. And it all starts by, having the clarity of what you want, because if you don't know what you want, then how are you going to get there? And Rod, thank you very much for sharing that, man.
Thanks for having me, brother. I appreciate it, man.
And if people want to know more about you, more about the real estate investing that you got going on and all of that, where should they go?
Rodslists.com. Rodslists.com is my link tree, and it's got all my free resources, free books, access to my my podcast, the boot camp website, that free goal setting guide and video to guide you through goals, which is so freaking powerful. So Rod's Lists is good. If you go to Real Estate with Rod, that's my rodkhleif.com website. Nobody can spell my name. So if you go to Real Estate with Rod, that's my main website. But but again, thanks for having me, bro.
Thanks, man. So I really appreciate you, and I'll see you later. Okay.
Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you for watching the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms